And we have reached the middle of 2026. Welcome to Novel Beginnings. Let's do a mid-year tag. Now, I read some phenomenal books thus far, and I have had a very good reading year, I want to say. I did do a best of the quarter for the month of March, and I'm going to put that link to that video. And the books that now I'm going to talk about would be in addition to those top 4 or 5 books I had read then. So let's jump right in. The first question is, best book you have read so far in 2026? I have to say that I did talk of Heart's Invisible Furies, Sea Scraper, and Loved Ones, and I'm forgetting the other 2. I'm going to put them somewhere here on the screen. In addition to that, I want to say Dominion. It is a fantastic book. I read that book for Women's Prize, and I loved it. Isa's Ballad, which was one of my favorite books that I read last month. Also, Wives Under Our Sea. And I want to say A Beast That Slings Towards Beijing was also a phenomenal read. It was the biggest surprise because it was a new book, so different, so unique. So yeah, these were some of the fantastic books I got to read. And there's some books I read in the month of June that that'll be coming up for my June wrap up. I read some great books, so I'll keep that for my June wrap up videos. But apart from that, these are the books I really loved. Best sequel you have read in 2026. It's going to be a little bit of a cheating because this book hasn't been released yet, and it is A Trade of Blood by Robert Jackson Bennett. Now, this is the 3rd book in the Leviathan series, and the first one being A Tainted Cup, and second one being A Drop of Corruption, and this is the 3rd book. And I think with each book, it just keeps on getting better. This is about Anna and Din, much like a Sherlock Watson duo, mystery-solving, murder-solving duo, and they are in this very botanical fantasy world. And Din, who is a Watson and who has certain augmentations whereby he's able to record the crime scene or interviews, and he goes and blurts it out to Anna, who is an eccentric, quirky, but exceptionally brilliant detective. And in this book, we set out with the duo again on this on this very interesting world, and we are there with them to solve a murder. And the most beautiful part about the books that the author this series is that yes, it's a murder there is a murder, there is a crime that has to be resolved. However, as you're on path with Anna and Din to solve these murders, the author is able to weave in so many socioeconomic aspects, so many, which, yes, it's a fantasy world, but then they have problems much like ours, and how he ties them together, it's nothing short of being brilliant, and I love it so much. So A Trade of Blood, it was a fantastic read. If you haven't started the series, I would highly recommend that you read the first 2 books and get ready when the 3rd book comes out in August. The 3rd question is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. Now, the books that I want to read in particular are not new releases per se. They're just books that I really want to read this year. In new releases, I do have a couple of them. I have Scion by James Islington, who wrote The Will of the Many and Strength of the Few, and I've read both the books and I've loved them. And he's coming up with a new sci-fi book, Scion. It's not a very big chunk stuff, so I'm looking forward to that, and I do have an arc for that book, so I'm quite excited to read that. I also have The Prince Topples the Empire, I think. Yeah, The Knight Topples the Empire by Rai Herman. And he's the same author who wrote Princess Kills Monster, which was a phenomenal read. I love that book, so I'm quite excited about this quirky fantasy world. And I'm excited to read these 2 books that are new releases that are lined up. Apart from these 2, there are some books that I really want to finish. It is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. The series is coming out, and I really want to read that book before that comes out. So yeah, I'm excited for that, to read that book. And I'm starting a new fantasy series, Silver Cloak, by this one library copy by L.K. Stephen, and I am quite L.K. Stephen, and I'm quite excited and looking forward to reading this book. So this is on my TBR for this year as well. Along with this, I also have the trilogy by Shauna Lawless. I think it's the Children of God's trilogy. I'm going to put up the image somewhere. That's also a book that I really want to read this year. So not specifically books released this year, but these are some books I want to read. And yes, so that's that. Most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. Honestly, I was really looking forward to Rise of Starling, the second book in the Shield the Sparrow trilogy, and I read that for the last month, and I was looking forward to it. And of course, A Trade of Blood by Robert Jackson Bennett as well. These were my two very highly anticipated releases. I am looking forward to the third book in the Hierarchy series, the one with James Islington, but that comes out in 2027 January. So we have some more time to be patiently waiting for that one. But yes, apart from these, I don't think I have anything else that I'm waiting for. So impatiently. Biggest disappointment. I would say it would be Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. This book has received so many raving reviews that I was really excited going into it, but unfortunately, I know I'm in the minority. This book did not work for me at all. I did not like this book. I have a whole rant about this, and this book wasn't. It was far from being my favorite. I think I gave this book 2 stars. And the other book that didn't work for me would be Wreck, and I was looking forward to it. Again, I did read Sandwich last year by Catherine Newman, and when Wreck, which is a sequel to that book, and I don't know why that book needed a sequel, but anyway, I was hearing again rave reviews about this book as well. Again, it was... Actually, I think I preferred Sandwich more than Wreck. So yeah, I didn't like these 2 books this year so far. Biggest surprise. So for Women's Prize, I did get the opportunity to read a lot of new books, a lot of debut authors, and I had such an amazing experience. Again, I would say it's going to be repeat. Dominion was such a fantastic book. I loved reading it. Addie Kitchen series this was a debut novel, and what a phenomenal book that was. So well written, so how she was able to bring about such big topics in a book that short, it amazes me. I still think about the book. I think I don't reread. I should, I guess, but I haven't reread a lot of books. But this is one book I really want to go back to because I had so many thoughts when I finished it. So this was the biggest surprise. Again, for Women's Prize, another author, debut author that I was really surprised by is Beijing. A Beast That Slings Towards Beijing by Evelyn Yang, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I'll put her name below. Alice Evelyn Yang, yes. It was such a unique book, a phenomenal book. I really loved reading it. I didn't know what I was expecting going in, but at the end of it, it was an experience. So that was, again, these 2 were a very big surprises. These 2, however, are 2 debut authors. Another surprise it would be, I think, Magda Szabo's Aiza's Ballad. I really, really love that book. I want to read more books by her. That book left such an emotional impact on me. I loved it. It was a surprise because I never read her book. So now that I've read, I loved it. The other one that I want to talk about, and I think because I keep forgetting about that because it was in January that I read, is Elena Knows by Claudia Pina, if I'm not mistaken. Again, it was a small book, but oh my God, that book was so intense, and it spoke about so many topics and such different, such a unique book that was. Again, it was a very big surprise. I had only heard of that book and that author, but I cannot wait to read more books by her. I don't even know if a lot of her books have been translated. I think she writes in Portuguese. No, in Spanish, sorry. In Spanish, because I think she's from Argentina. So I am excited to, I want to explore more of her books. So yeah, these were my surprises for this year. Newest fictional crush. I want to say favorite character, not new, but favorite character. I will say Anna and Den from A Trade of Blood. I really enjoyed, I always enjoy reading their books. Apart from then, favorite character that I read, I can only think of Anna and Den because, yes, this is the 3rd book, and this is the 3rd book I've been reading. I've read about these characters, so yes, they're my favorite characters. A book that made you cry. I I think the most emotional books I have read was in the last month. It has to be Aiza's Ballad and Wives Under the Sea. I will also talk about my Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. That is a book that completely wrecked me. Also, Kingfisher by Rosie Kelly. Yes, I had some reservations about that book, but when that book finished, I was a total mess. It did break me apart. So yeah, these are the books that really were very emotional books for me thus far. Books that made you happy. Oh, I would say I read Honeybee Mine by Sarah T. Dubb. I love this author. I think she has written only two books, and I think she's a romance author. I read both her books. First one being Birdie with Benefits. It was a debut novel, and this one is Honeybee Mine. I love this author. She does romance books with very strong characters, female characters, older characters with very mature, with great maturity in the relationships. I have loved both the books. I read Budding Benefits last year, and I read Honeybee Mine in the month of June. So I loved it. It made me so happy. I really enjoy her books, and I think she is criminally underrated. I really hope that Sarah T. Dubb's books get more popularity, because she really writes very good romance novels. At least I have enjoyed both the books that she has written. So, Honeybee Mine one. Other one would be Guncle. Oh my God, I had such a lovely time reading that book. Both these books in the month of June, so a bit of a spoiler before my June wrap up. I have enjoyed these two books so much, and apart from that, I think yeah, these two books are the ones that really made me happy, and I was quite happy reading them. Yes. The most beautiful book you have bought or received. I have bought, I would definitely say Rights of Starling. It's such a pretty book. I'm going to put the cover somewhere here. I also did buy, I haven't read it, is this one, The Everlasting by Alexi Harrosh. It's a gorgeous book cover. I do want to read this one. And when Wuthering Heights came around, I am yet to read that. Finished that book, actually. I've started, but not completed. Is this copy of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. It's just, the cover is beautiful with a very nice painting inside. So yeah, these are my beautiful books that I have. And finally, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? There are so many. I think I was talking about them in another question. It's apart from the books that I mentioned previously, I do want to read more nonfiction. I think so far I've read only one. So my target is by the end of the year, I should have read at least 6 nonfiction books. I think that's a doable target, achievable target. And yes, I have read 58 books so far, 58, 57 books, and I'm quite happy with this. If I'm able to continue this, I'll be able to maybe reach my target goal of 100 books this year. And yeah, I am excited to reading more books for the next half of the year. And I have discovered like some amazing, fantastic books, brilliant books, and I cannot wait to read more. Not necessarily all the books that I'm reading or I want to read have been released this year. I have also bought a lot of books and those books they've been published way back when. So I want to have a good mix of new books and old books. So yes, I hope you enjoyed watching this mid-year tag, and I am looking forward to reading more exciting books in the next 6 months. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.